All right, this is the A.
Alright.
Reviews
Back at it, yo.
with Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Block it. Block it. Use the force, son. All the force.
Give me the controller.
No. I have the high ground, Anakin.
Fine. All right, so I've seen it 3 times
Yes.
since it's come out already. Ian has seen it at least once.
One time. I should have seen it more, but I'm slipping. Bad Star Wars fan.
So definitely the hype was real for this going in.
Super real.
Super hype. They did a really good job cutting the trailers and mixing the scenes.
Yes.
Crafty Disney, very crafty. And overall, from the critics, the movie is getting a very high rating.
Critics love it.
Fans, not so much. Little mixed review there, right?
I feel like everyone I talk to either really likes it or they're like, I don't like it. And that's it. There's not like, either you like it or don't.
So we're going to use this opportunity in our review, which is why we took so long. We have thoroughly discussed it and gotten a lot of different feedback from different people. So we're going to kind of go over a little bit of why you probably would love this film and why you could easily dislike this film, but still say overall it was a good movie.
Yes. Overall, I liked it.
See?
So the movie theater, I saw it one time. I liked it. I think originally he didn't like it the first time.
Overall, it was okay.
But I understood what they were trying to do and where they were going with it. So that's why I kind of liked it. I liked parts of the story. I can't say the whole thing, but I liked parts. And I understood the overall theme they were trying to do.
Mm-hmm. So that brings me to the beginning of our topics here, which is what do you think this film did well?
I think building relationships and building certain characters.
Okay.
And they kind of did a good job on that. I think they put too much filler in it, but the first part of it they did well building characters and building like an overall main story. The secondary story, but the main story they did a job following and building to that.
Okay. So for me, I thought what it did well is it didn't give you a nice and neat packaged, I'm going to train you, Rey, and you'll become an amazing Jedi. Because honestly, that would have been a little too easy. They definitely could have gone like more the Yoda approach, where he like gives her trials and stuff, and then she finally starts getting better. I maybe would have preferred that. However, there has also been the outcry of Force Awakens had too many callbacks to the original films, and that this was just going to be more of the same.
Yeah.
Right? Which it was a teeny tiny bit, but it actually didn't do all those different callbacks, right? Yeah. They were trying to focus on these new characters established, and then try to move forward with them. So I thought it did a good job of at least moving forward with what characters you do have.
Yes.
And there was a huge resounding theme throughout the movie of old and new, right? Yes. Old and new, old and new, old and new. So that was, pay attention to that if you haven't seen it yet. Or leave comments below about that as well, because that can get into a whole deep discussion about that.
Just alone,
just on that alone. So we'll move into some other areas. I thought the relationship building in this was done well also. Reasons why people would want to forge alliances or character development from just being a particular way. I don't want to spoil anything. Yeah. And then having a different way to view things overall. Yeah. Kind of like if you like go into a brand new job and you're like, how should I approach this? Yes. And then you learn and you're like, oh, okay, this would be a better way to approach that, right? So they have character building in that aspect throughout the film, which is pretty good. And then they kind of actually give you a reason, although I think it's cheesy, a purposeful reason on how to fight going forward, right? Yeah. So even though cheesy, I thought it was interesting that they finally put that in this one, because the last film you're kind of like, same reason why you gotta beat the bad guys, right? It's always beat the bad guys. However, this one has a little bit more information to it, a little bit more fluidity as to why you need to beat the bad guys. So from there, let's segue into, what do you think this film did wrong?
I think the secondary story, like the little subplots, some weren't necessary, and some didn't actually prove a point or actually have any main impact on the major story. Like one major side plot had
without spoilers.
Without spoilers, like it is. When you see it, like, you're gonna go, that really, was that necessary? Like, you're gonna see that, was that necessary? And they show a bunch of stuff that, like, was that necessary? It's kind of hard to tell you more because half the movie's a spoiler. So it's like,
very much so.
Yeah, it's like anything I tell you, like, it's basically a spoiler.
We can definitely confirm for you that the trailers were cut together to allude to way more than what actually happens in the film. So that could be disappointing for you. For me personally, I was a little disappointed because it set certain expectations for things. Actually, a lot of things that were set up in The Force Awakens kind of gauge some hype. Now, keep in mind the big difference between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but so in The Force Awakens, George Lucas actually provided some story for that one, whereas this one, he had zero input.
Yeah, I know, right? The first one, he had lots of input. This one.
So you can clearly tell that in this one, I believe, if you just kind of look at the body of work, there's much more of a, like we said, right, there's the call to the old, but at the same time there is reference of the Jedi kind of mythos and whatnot. And in this one, there is definitely, right, even with the name of, like, The Last Jedi, and in the trailer, there's discussions about what to do with the Jedi Order going forward, what will become of them, things of that nature. And it kind of seems like it falls short of previous films where you can tell you had that George Lucas input, whereas here you clearly don't have it at all. So it seems like they were not quite sure how to adapt that into the storyline in the same manner that I would say, fans of the franchise are familiar with. Not to say it's completely bad, it's just clearly not the same storytelling method.
Yeah, it's a little different. So people are used to Lucas for 30 plus years. It's Lucas and his influence, and now you have someone different. That's why people are kind of like,
I don't know if I really like that.
I like it.
Like, I like it, but I don't know if I like it.
I think when I told him I left the movie theater, I was like, I have a mixed feeling about it. Like, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
It's just so different from what you're used to seeing in Star Wars. So it's kind of like, I know this is different. Am I gonna really fall in love with it like I did before? But I don't feel it's bad. So I feel like it's still going sort of in the right direction. It's just, are they gonna get there?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? That's the big, is it, right? It's the huge question mark everyone has is, going forward, how will this film kind of adapt and maybe kind of finalize? Because supposedly the next one is the last one in this trilogy, right? And then they're supposed to have the spin-offs later on. So for me, all three occasions, mixed review. There was super diehard people there the very first night I went to go watch. There was like a whole row of them who were like, oh, it was awesome. And then you went further down in their friend line, and they're like, eh. And then IMAX, right? IMAX experience alone made the film better.
Like, this is big enough.
Six-story film, right? I'm super engaged into it. I get sucked into the starship, star space battles and whatnot. Everything that's going on there. And then overall, seemed like most people there thought it was pretty good. I took someone who had never seen a Star Wars movie in their life, heard of it, but never saw a single one. They said, amazing film that they haven't seen in a long time, really dope. And then the third time I saw it was with coworkers. Mixed reviews there as well. Some people said, I went in with low expectations, so to me the film was, it was good. Some people were like, I really liked it. It was really good. exactly what I was expecting. And then there were some people who were like, it's a movie I didn't really need to see. And I was like, ooh, ugh, ouch, right? So it's kind of all over the board. Do I think that they were catering towards a specific market with this film? I'm gonna say no. Honestly, I don't even think they had a specific target. It definitely does not cater to old school diehard Star Wars people. I would say for sure. You think that would be safe to say?
I think it still does. I think part
like
of
not fully though, right?
I think it did, but it's kind of like a message of like, all right, we know you're diehards, but move on.
Yeah, see, so that's what I'm saying. Like,
so it gave you a direction. Like, okay, this is what it's for you guys, but realize you have to, all that you love. It's not gonna be the same. So don't expect in just the same Star Wars that you've always seen and always will see. Let go.
Yeah, I think it was a good message of there's a passage of time.
Yeah.
Hey, old Star Wars fans, hopefully you'll stick around, but just like the characters from your, heyday, right? They obviously have gotten older.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, eventually we're gonna need to move on. So they try to segue into this new age of heroes, if you will, so to speak. So that's why I said I don't know if this caters towards a specific audience. I feel like they kind of touch on things a little going forward, like if they give old fans,
like they give it here, like this is still
new fans,
yeah, this is new, this is for you, this is for
fans who've never seen anything, right? So I think they do a good job of trying to touch on all, but not catering to anyone more than the other. I think maybe is a good way to say it. So who was your least favorite character in this? We'll start with that. Like, who do you think could not have been in this film, and it still would have been good?
What sucks is because like my boy, and I don't understand. Like he wasn't necessarily needed in this movie, and I'm like, I feel bad about that. I really do. Like Finn wasn't needed. Like
no spoilers, no spoilers. So okay, so Finn, in your opinion, could have been removed from this movie,
and it wouldn't have changed,
and the outcome wouldn't have changed.
The movie in general wouldn't have changed.
Okay.
We really think about it, like it really wouldn't have.
So, I've seen memes already out on the internet about Porg.
Yeah.
So, it's almost like the annoying animal version of Jar Jar Binks.
That didn't bother me that much.
You legit don't need it in the film.
You don't need it.
I
feel
legitimately don't understand its purpose.
They kind of threw it in there for like a little comedic thing here and there. It's not needed, but it's not like it gets like less than 30 seconds of screen time. Like it's not like there's a major plot around the Porgs. Like they're cameo here, shows Chewie, you see one. Like it's not like they're in there and it's a focus of the movie. It's like that's
why I was like, I'm pretty sure they could have done without that.
I mean, but it's not like, it doesn't bother me.
Now, Finn, on the other hand, without giving anything away, there is a plot device there with him in it that would have definitely changed the flow of the film. So I think what you're really trying to say is you don't like the way he was utilized in this one.
But even think about his plot device, it really didn't.
No, well, that's my point. Like, the way he was utilized, you don't like. Basically, you're thinking he could have been utilized in a better way. Basically, at this point, right? That's really what you're trying to say. Come on.
But I mean, no. Here's the thing. Yeah, I would like to see him used better, but I feel like they just created a story to have him in it. Like they had nothing for him in the main story.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
And so it was like they just threw this out here. It was like, okay, here's Finn. Like I know we talked about him before, but it's like.
Yeah. So I'll definitely co-sign with that. That I do think he could have been utilized differently in this film. It serves its purpose, obviously, for what they wrote story-wise. But like you said, there's definitely better usage. I mean, you have someone who was a part of the New Order for God only knows how long, and clearly has intricate information about them. And your best idea for this person with all this knowledge is to is to not put him in a position where it revolves around maybe using his information.
Yeah.
For that, right? It's more focused on this whole Last Jedi aspect of things, right? So it's kind of interesting to see them kind of, I don't know, maybe shy away from that or what have you. But I definitely see what you're saying. How about the most unexpected character in this film?
That like I actually enjoyed.
You're like, oh, I actually like that character. Without spoilers.
Did I have anybody like everyone else is like? There wasn't like a new character I liked more. Like I guess.
Remember, no spoilers.
Yeah, I mean I don't have a spoiler. I'm like, it's the same.
If you want to save it for spoilers, we can do that. You want to do that?
We can save it because it's a little hard to keep talking about this movie.
We're saving it for
spoilers.
So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and get into our overall rating for the film, and then we'll get into spoilers after that. So I will let you do the honors. I wholeheartedly believe that Ian is probably a little bit more diehard Star Wars than me, although I have seen it 3 times. But overall, I think he's probably a little bit more Star Wars diehard than I am.
Probably. But yeah, I'm pretty diehard. Sith Lord Joe. Yeah, I'm super diehard on Star Wars, but I think I went in there with high expectations, but I was open. So I was still open to like, okay, if it doesn't be as epic as I want it to be, I'm okay with it being something different. And that's probably the reason why I still liked it, because I wouldn't go, all right, this needs to be this grand, epic, amazing thing that I see. I'm like, all right, let me see what they can do. So with that, I kind of gave it like a 4 out of 5, because I understand what they're trying to do and what they're trying to get away from. And it's really hard to write a Star Wars movie with all of what you have, 30 years of pressure on you and George Lucasness and diehard fans that dress up as stormtroopers and travel the country. So it's hard to do a Star Wars movie and not have criticism. So I understand what they're trying to do and where they're trying to go. I just hope they can get there correctly. But I still say it's a good movie.
So 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5.
Huh. Okay. So having heard all that from my counterpart here, I am going to give it a solid 3. If you're a diehard fan or a new fan and you have interest in Star Wars, definitely check it out. I think it's worth watching in theater for the big movie experience. Do I say this is a must-watch?
Hell yeah, it's Star Wars.
Only for diehards. only for diehards is what I'm going to say. I don't think you have to watch this in a theater. I think it's a good watch in a theater.
You watch it.
I don't think you have to watch it in the theater. If you like Star Wars even a little bit, like if you ever faked a Star Wars lightsaber or anything like that,
Just like death, y'all.
definitely go see it in the theater. So 3 for me, 4 from him. So I'm just gonna give us a solid 3.5 stars on this.
We'll round up to 4.
3.5 stars. Solid overall on this one. So this is the point in time where we definitely are going to get into spoilers.
Definitely.
We're going to try to not make it too long overall, but there is definitely a lot to talk about here in a spoiler time. So
if you got some time, it's going to take.
If you got some popcorn, go ahead and hit pause and go ahead and pop it. Come on back. We're about to get into it right now. Okay?
Woo! Spoilers are coming
Spoilers
at you.
galore.
At your face.
I can't believe they brought Vader back and he's rising people from the dead.
I'm saying Darth, son. Darth and Sidious is up in here too.
Yep. So that was that didn't really happen. So that was your so that was your spoiler alert, kind of a last chance there. All right, so let's get into where we left off was characters who surprised you. For me personally, Benicio del Toro as DJ. Breakthrough performance for me, even though it wasn't that big of a deal. I really like this character though. Really like this character because he kind of made Finn think about just for a moment, although he wasn't really buying it.
If all what he does matters.
Yeah, if what he's doing matters.
Like
right?
if you're fighting for the rebellion or you're fighting for the first order, it's all the cog in the machine and it doesn't matter.
Which brings you to the question, which I've been thinking about this. what's wrong with the way the Sith think?
What? Oh, in terms of
Like, because they only attacked planets that were harboring rebels, right? They never just legit just, hey, you're just a random planet, we're just gonna blow you up. Did they ever do that?
well, Alderaan.
I thought Alderaan was suspected like assisting the rebels.
No, this is where the princess was from.
Oh well, there you go.
So
That's
they just
probably a good reason to blow up.
But you killed
You're
a whole
responsible
planet of people.
for their actions, right?
Well, for like a group of people. So you killed like 30 million people because of like 1,000 were rebels.
That's right.
Take
that.
I mean, and the fact that you started a war to get power in the first place, and then you kill all the people you went to war with because you switched sides. Kind of Sithy.
Yep. Not bad at all.
he's like, not a bad idea at all. Let's do that.
Not a bad idea at all. So that's what I thought was kind of interesting. I'm like, so he's presenting this to him, but he's just thinking of war from a general basis. He's not thinking about the actual causes. So it is his little voice to Finn. I think Finn has seen too much of how the New Order act and what they do to be easily swayed by that. So the other part of the film that I thought was interesting, as we mentioned earlier, was the whole old and new throughout the entire film. Right, there's a big message throughout. If you pay attention,
let the past die.
Yep, and kill it if you have to. Right,
kill it if you have to. Move on. And I think that's the message to the old Star Wars fans. Like, hey, I know you love this, but we're gonna kill most of these people off, and we gotta move on. All right, like you can't. I know you love Luke, and I know you love Leia, but it can't be about them forever.
Yep.
And so you have to be able to move on to the new generation of Star Wars.
Yeah, because we're definitely towards the end of the whole Skywalker
clan
lineage, right?
Well, I mean, there's technically at this point now there's only one. Well, I mean, I guess we'd say one live Skywalker because they're not bringing
two.
They're not bringing Leia back. They already said.
Well, Kylo.
That's the one.
Well, no, Leia's gonna be another one, just not a.
No, they won't CGI her, so she's not gonna come back.
Oh, well, no, they said they have some scenes from some takes from the ninth upcoming film.
I thought they said they were gonna do it, so they weren't gonna CGI her. So if they didn't do it.
So supposedly she's gonna be in it, just very limited. Yeah, it's like super limited. So supposedly they started doing cuts from 9. It's like when she died, right? So they had made the announcement that they had a few scenes that they had already recorded, and they legit just are gonna stop at those. So I don't know if they're gonna like
rewrite around it,
cut them, or write around it differently. I'm not really sure what their intent is there. But yeah, to Ian's point, they're doing away with a lot of different people here. And Captain Fat. Oh, my other biggest thing. Did you hear the Wilhelm scream in this movie?
Oh yeah, there isn't one. Yeah.
What the fudge nuggets?
yes.
No, I was so upset. I was like, I watched it 3 times. Unless if you heard the Wilhelm scream, comment below where you heard it, because I watched it 3 times, and all 3 times I was waiting to hear it.
But that's a George Lucas thing, though.
No, that's not true. The Wilhelm scream has been in other films.
But I mean, like, for him, he uses it a lot. He likes using the Wilhelm scream.
You know what would have been a perfect time to do it? When Finn falls off the thing. That would have been so epic. I've been laughing so hard. I've been like, oh snap! I was back. Right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, they even have him say like cheesy stuff. Chrome Dome.
Yeah.
Really, Chrome Dome. Come on.
Oh, it's the one with Phasma.
Yeah, with Phasma.
With Phasma.
Yeah, right. When she hits it, I was like, ah! Like, right? That would have been. You can't tell me that would have been epic. And then he comes back up later. Haha. Boom. Right? That would have been awesome. That would have been amazing. And then let's see. Spoilers that you liked. That you thought like, oh man, this is awesome.
A lot of people didn't like it, but I understood it. Getting rid of Snoke early.
I wouldn't say early, right? It's like halfway, like
I mean,
towards the end of the movie.
it's like the first time you really get him to see him, he's gone. So it's early.
Early as far as like his introduction of his character.
Yeah, it's like
I mean, it's barely the second film he's ever in. He's
like,
supposed to be super powerful from the first one.
You barely see him in the first one.
He's like across the galaxy, force powering people and hitting people, right? So somehow he's epically strong.
And you see him, and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" And he's gone. And you're like, but I like the fact that he's not there, and it kind of shows motivation for Kylo to be the guy and not being controlled by someone or have someone, you know, it's my journey where I'm doing what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like the past and all the other people on me, I'm in charge. This is my galaxy.
Yeah.
Basically what Vader wanted to do, but just never did it. Like he always wanted to kill the Emperor, but he never really did it to be in control.
Yeah, like he didn't really have a plan, right?
Yeah.
Like, he never had like a vision.
Like he's always like, Luke, join me and we can do it together. Like he just didn't feel like he couldn't do it by himself.
Yeah.
And Kylo was like, I got this.
Yeah. Like he was like, you know what? I don't like the way any of y'all have been doing anything.
Yeah.
And I just want to kill everything and start over from scratch.
Yeah.
Right? No Jedi, no Sith, just strong people with the Force, and let's roll from here.
Yeah.
Right? Screw all this mumbo jumbo stuff that you guys have going on, and let's move forward. I guess my big thing is, okay, so Anakin Skywalker had a high count of what?
Midichlorians.
Okay, so for some reason it clearly seems that as if they've gone away from talking about that at all whatsoever.
Well, the
which
only
I think
movie,
is more of a Lucas thing, right?
The only movie that talked about it ever was just the first one,
Phantom
Menace. They never mentioned midichlorians in any other Star Wars movies. So this is the only one. At first, this kind of just to give, I guess, a reasoning that Anakin came from nowhere, and like, you know, his mom just conceived him and he was just born. Like, that was the only explanation.
Jesus, Force baby.
Yeah. So that was the only explanation of why, like, she basically just had a Force baby, and so for that they didn't need the explanation anymore, and they never really counted it in any other character because it didn't matter.
I think this film did a really good job of basically calling out how 1, 2, and 3 really just showed how stupid the Jedi were.
Yeah.
Because they pretty much led to all this, and then Luke was like, the Jedi are stupid.
Yeah.
They let all this stuff happen at the height of their power, technically, right?
Well, they said the height of their power because they didn't want to give the Force to anybody. They wanted to hoard the Force, and it was only we could use it, and only we could use it, and it should be belong to everyone because everyone has the Force in them.
Mm-hmm.
And so because we're hoarding it, we thought we were the only one special, the Sith came and took it from us. And had we just been open to everybody, you could train people, and you would have more of a Force and more
responsibility and
understanding of the Force.
Overall universal togetherness.
Yes. So that's what he's saying. If the way Jedi in the Order did it was wrong, and it was basically doomed to fail.
Yeah. So that was kind of interesting that to hear from him. Definitely jaded by those scenario, right? The way he's talking. And,
well, I mean, I think it's not that scenario. I think it's the fact that he tried to recreate it and he saw the error of the Order after he lost the students.
That was a big thing on that one too. I thought that was interesting. Like, oh, I had a moment where I got the crazy eye, and I was like, I'm gonna kill you, Kylo.
Well, because he said he saw his future, where he saw like all the potential and evil that he could be, and he was like, I have to stop it. But then I guess he didn't realize that it's what he could be, not what he actually is. And when he went in there, he made a decision for Ben Solo.
Yep. And it almost seems like he realized that he was projecting his own
like fear,
potential darkness on him, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, fear, right? And which they always say, like,
fear leads to the dark side.
Yep. Don't fear, but he did, right?
Yeah.
So, he kind of created Ben Solo to turn into Kylo Ren, right?
Well, that's what he said. He created it because he went in there with a moment. He said a moment of weakness. I thought about actually killing him, and that's what he saw, and then that's what turned him.
Yeah, that's when Ben wakes up and he's looking up, right? And he's like,
master.
What are you doing? And he's like, and I saw a scared boy in his eyes, right?
Yeah.
So initially he was just self-defense, like, oh shit, you're gonna kill me.
Yeah.
I gotta stop you, right? And then from there he just kind of went a little.
Well, he went there and he's like, well, what the heck? Either you're with me or against me, and all the students that weren't with him he killed, and then he went with Snoke.
Well, supposedly, from Luke's retelling, right, he was stuck under the house until after, right?
He came out after
he
killed. So basically, any students that didn't join Kylo, he just basically killed. It went with Snoke.
And took off.
And then he fought them later when he decided Snoke was gone.
Yeah, I was wondering if those other guys were.
I think those were students. Those students that went with him, and those were the rest of the order that was there.
Yeah, so that's why I was kind of wondering if that's what ended up happening to them, since they only do 2 Sith, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I thought was interesting, to see.
Because
it would have been nice if they actually said that's who they were, rather than you kind
just
of
guessing that that's them. Because I mean, they all have like some sort of force abilities to them, and they're there.
Which I thought was okay. So for overall, I thought that fight scene could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
They did not use the force at all against those guys, which I don't know why.
Except for just do it like that.
Yes.
That was kind of cool.
That was cool. But I'm just saying, I'm like, you could have like been like, whoom, just knocked them all off the thing. You know, like different stuff. Like Kylo was definitely handling business on a majority of those guys, and then the one got the upper hand on him. And I'm like, he could have done some other pretty cool stuff. But again, I'm not sure where they're going with it, or their choices for the battle, even the location for the battle, for it to be an all red all around with, I don't know what that was, like hanging banner or something like that. What would have been dope, this is what I was telling our other friend Micah, was that would have been really cool if it was all black, and then where the soldiers were at, his personal guard, red outline silhouettes of where they're at, and then they kind of step forward when the Snoke was like, get him. Right? Now that would have been cool.
No, they wanted more red.
Nope.
Don't hate on the red and black, yo.
It sucks.
So we rock the red over here, son.
I'm just saying that I think that could have been cooler, because eventually that led to the whole where it was all burning down, and it was kind of a weird fire scene.
Well, I mean, the ship also got torn in half.
That happens before though.
Because the fire didn't happen until because remember that they fought. They were fighting him and then they're grabbing the lightsaber.
So what causes the fire is since I've seen it 3 times.
Yeah.
So what causes the fire? What causes the fire is Rey's fighting somebody, and his little whatever his little like.
The whip, was it the whip one?
Yeah, and she hits it, and it hits the wall, right? And then it catches fire right there.
Okay.
And for some reason, that little fire in that corner spreads throughout the entire room, and then that's how you end up seeing Kylo sweating, and he's like, "Join me, join me."
Well,
and
he's
then,
sweating because he was doing work, and Rey was just kind of standing there like fighting
like
one person,
crying or whatever. No, this is like he's not sweating initially. When he starts talking to her about joining him, and then all of a sudden the scene keeps changing. And showing his face, and he has more sweat every time.
That's the takes.
Really weird.
That's the people editing messing up.
Exactly. And then so all around you, all that red banner or whatever the heck that was supposed to be, basically looked like a green screen but red, starts to burn up, and there's fire all around them, and it's just in little chunks because it's that burnt robe. Then that's when they have the little. Give me the lightsaber! No, give me the lightsaber! Ah!
Well, no, that's he asked her first, right?
Yeah, no, that's what I said.
Yeah.
He's saying, join me, and then she tries to get the lightsaber, right? Because she's like, no, I'm not going to join you. And then they're both trying to fight for it, and then in the midst of them fighting for that, right, as it snaps, that's when the ship
blows up.
Light speeds through, which I'm like,
that's so awesome.
That was pretty awesome. I will say that in the theater, everybody goes,
I know, like I was saying, like, everybody moving.
Like,
that ship hits the ship with light speed. Everybody's like, oh.
And because it like takes a grip of
because it splits in light speed.
Yeah,
so it splits all the pieces in light speed.
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy. So that was pretty epic. I'm gonna have to go out and say that was pretty epic. I do like that. From us talking, their whole escape plan was just so stupid. So stupid.
I think a lot of the escape plan went to them assuming what the Empire can do, and the Empire kind of assuming what the Rebels can and cannot do, and neither knowing what. And I figure that's kind of like until you need a plot for Finn to do something.
So which leads us to our point from before. if you have someone who used to work for the First Order, they could have talked to him for his input, right?
But here's the thing, and this is what I thought was really weird in the movie. Finn wakes up, and the only person that really knows to him is
Poe.
Poe. No one else really knows he's up.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. He wakes up, and he's like, okay, I gotta go find Rey. And I need to go find Rey. And that's it. And then so him and then the one girl, what's her name?
And I'm sorry, but Finn is like overly selfish.
Oh yeah, because he only cared about.
In both movies, all he's caring about is himself and staying alive. And then in this one,
it's just Rey.
And Rey, right?
Yeah.
So eventually, in the first film, he starts to worry about Rey. And then in this one, is for all he's thinking is Rey. Where's Rey? Where's Rey? I gotta help Rey.
I gotta get this thing off the ship so Rey won't come here and
she'll be alive, or we'll be alive together, because the First Order is gonna kill everybody, right? So he's still clearly scared of the First Order. He knows how much strength they have, how big their army is, and he's like, rebels have nothing that can stop them basically at this point. So which was funny because at the end too, he's like, we gotta help him, right? I'm like, that dude just survived laser blast, and you want to go out and help him because what?
Yeah, let's go help Luke.
Which also is funny, right? Because you have Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, referred to a lightsaber as a laser sword.
It's like, I'm putting my laser sword out. I think he did that as like, this is how like.
I guess it was like a way for Luke to poke fun at himself, I guess.
To sit there and say, hey, like, you really think that me making a difference with my laser sword is going to basically turn the tide of the entire war? And that's what he's trying to tell Rey, like, you're worried about me so much.
Yeah.
Like, I can't turn the full tide of the war. I'm going to go out there and just with my sword, all of you are going to die because it's me.
But it's exactly what he did in Return of the Jedi. So it's stupid for him to say that.
Well, actually, in Return he didn't, because all he did was fight Vader. Vader killed the Emperor. He really didn't do anything.
So he didn't just go in there with a lightsaber attacking with a half-cocked plan to save Leia and everyone else from Jabba?
Yeah, he failed. Not just funny, he didn't fail. But yeah, but Jabba is different than against the Emperor. He didn't go against the Empire like, yeah, I'm taking the whole Empire down. He didn't. He just was like, I think I'd be a distraction while you guys blow up the ship. But he didn't really do much but just turn Vader good for like all of 20 minutes.
So he brings up a good point there, because Luke actually also downplays his participation in that war, right? He's like, oh, I became a legend, but for what?
Yeah, like
right?
he didn't.
Like all I did is help sway Vader.
Yeah. At
the end of it, which he ends up dying anyways. So, spoiler alert if you've never seen Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Well, we're already in spoilers anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
I was like, but, if you haven't, you've seen, Vader's head's in Force Awakens. So
exactly.
If you haven't seen it, I mean.
So it's kind of interesting to see some of those callbacks, like we were saying, and then their big theme throughout, right? The old goes away, kill it. A lot of characters get killed off, like Admiral Akbar.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
And then I guess people were mad that he got killed off, but I'm like, he's not really that big of a character, guys. Let him go.
Aside from him saying that, what else do you remember him doing?
Nothing.
I'll wait.
We can't repair firepower of that magnitude.
You can leave it in the comments if you remember anything that he did epically.
I think someone actually,
aside from that,
I think someone actually counted out that he had like 2.5 minutes of actual screen time in all the movies.
There you go.
So
there you go.
He doesn't need an epic death. He doesn't.
I will touch on one other thing that I thought was interesting. That previously in other Star Wars films, space is not really space. This is the first film that they actually counted space as space. And when I say space, I'm talking about the physics of space, right? So Leia is outside the ship. She's not breathing, maybe. She has like frost on her face a little bit.
Yeah.
So like the cold depths of space, right? And then she uses her force powers to come back, which, by the way, she clearly had never trained really much before.
Well, they say that I was reading that they say
that
that she doesn't train because she can't do solitude to train.
Yep.
So she decided to be
they allude throughout and through like comics and tie-ins that She had minimal training from Qui-Gon, like initially, and a little bit from Obi-Wan at some point in time, through Force.
And then one thing they said is that Luke originally wanted her as his first student.
Yeah.
But she couldn't get away from, the rebellion.
Couldn't find the time, basically.
She didn't think it was a good idea to leave the rebellion alone so she can go in solitude and train. They needed her more than she needed to learn the Force.
Makes sense. So there is that, and then for some reason in space you have bombers who are dropping bombs that in space for some reason only drop directly down.
Yeah, that was weird too.
Instead of floating out.
Well, here's the thing, because there's gravity in the ship's force field. So when you go down, it's already moving in a direction. Mm-hmm. So when you go out in space, it's not going to change direction. It's going to keep going that direction.
Okay.
So in physics-wise, it's not just because it goes to space. If it's already moving, it's still going to keep moving unless something touches it.
However, in this film, that bomber is exploding, going like at a downward angle, like diagonally, right? It's already blowing up, or like on its way to be blown up, and it drops them. And then later on, when those other two ships run out of fuel, they're just like drifting backwards into space, which would not happen.
They would still go forward.
They would still go forward based off the momentum. So it's just kind of strange for them to try to add in those elements when they never had them before.
Well, they never had a ship run out of gas before.
Exactly. That brought me to my next point, which there are some elements that got introduced in this film that I personally don't think they need it. I'm not sure what. I mean, I guess they served as plot devices to move along the story, and then sloppily cleaning up why they used it. I don't know. Those are just my super critiques of things I think they did not need in the film. They definitely could have used. Okay, so here's my other thing on that. Right, we talked about this. Yeah. So at the root of it, you don't know fully how the New Order is tracking you. Okay, you don't bother to talk to Finn, except for Finn and Poe, because apparently they're off doing their own thing.
Well, they talk to Poe, but they don't want to listen to Poe.
Right, they don't want to listen to Poe, because apparently Poe is too gun-ho, right?
I mean, he did get a bunch of people
killed. He is very much gun-ho. He did get... See, now that's the thing. They were on board for that plan, right?
Up until, like, they're going, oh, well, they cleared... I guess he cleared out the ships so they can get away. So then they were like, well, screw that plan now. We can just get away. And so they decided not to go through with destroying the ship. And he's like, well, we already have the plan in place. We can take this ship.
They're already on the way, yeah.
Yeah, we're already on the way. Which I think, why do you have... How is the bomber... That's an added problem, too. The bomber is the slowest moving ship ever.
Like the history of Star Wars.
Yeah, like the bombers were Y-Wings. So how did you go from the Y-Wings, which were the bombers, to this tall payload
That's
thing?
like a very, like, I don't know who sold them that, since the whole topic of this film was like people like selling arms dealers.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who they bought these bombers from, but they made a killing, literally, in sales to them, because that was like the worst designed ship ever. Your only way to fire back is a small gun at the bottom.
Yeah, at the bottom, and then it just drops a payload like straight down, and I'm like, you have to be above whatever you are. I'm like, Y-Wings they're bomb fighters.
Not only that, but I was pretty sure in the previous films the X-Wings had the
They had the small torpedoes, but the Y-Wings were the actual bombers.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, your escorts are Y-Wings.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they have, everyone could have just been like, blasted, right?
Yeah, so you still have Poe do what he does, and then you have X-Wings and Y-Wings behind it. Y-Wings, well, I guess it does more damage than a Y-Wing, because I mean it has
because it was literally dropping actual bombs.
Yeah, so
right?
I mean it has like a bigger payload and bigger damage I could see, but I will say, why is it ridiculously slow? That's the only problem.
Super slow. Not only that, but that was ridiculous how they had that chain reaction where 3 of them just get taken out in a row.
Yeah.
That was.
It blew up and like the thing popped out because it's like the whole. I'm like.
That was
like there's like 20 of them that they had, and like one actually gets to like where it needs to go, and you're like, really?
Yeah. It was like, oh, it only took 1, so why did you have 20 of them?
Well, they had to sacrifice 20 to get to the one there. It went so slow.
And all the other dang pilots. So, I don't know. Poorly thought out plan, I guess, by the rebel forces. And then, if one thing that this movie has taught us is that for some reason the good guys like to sacrifice themselves.
Yes.
Right? Almost to an unnecessary point.
Like Finn.
Yes, that was going to be... I'm so happy.
I literally was like, really?
Ha! I'm done with this film.
Like, I'm done with it. Like, if Finn kills himself right now, I'm so done right now.
And then Rose is like, I'm going to save you by crashing into you and almost killing the both of us.
Yes.
Right? So
I thought she died. I was like, oh, well, she's out.
Right?
Woke up, I thought it was like, they don't need her because Finn has a thing for Rey anyway.
Yeah.
So why do you, like, I think I don't see her purpose because he still has a thing for Rey.
Yeah, in the theater, all 3 times I watched the movie, I was like, I'm going to kiss you. And like, what's called I was being Finn. I was like, girl, what the hell are you doing kissing me? I love Rey. Because even he was like,
it's like,
force push. Get off me.
Yeah.
And like her whole cheesy thing is, we're not going to win this war by fighting what we hate. It's fighting for what we love. I was like,
yeah.
That's what I told her. Some space. Yeah, so definitely cheesy in my opinion on there. Well, like I said, I know where they're going with it. Again, it's super critique of it. I'm sure you'll probably see way worse out there than what we're talking about.
Well, let's talk about something good here.
Yeah, let's go positive now. Ready? And go.
I liked most of the whole interaction between Rey and Kylo. It actually like the whole movie going, is she gonna join him? Is she not gonna join him? Like,
it was almost as if they were trying to build a potential like brother-sister bond.
Yeah.
But then you see it develop beyond that, right?
Yeah.
And you can totally tell Kylo's like, what up, Rey?
Yeah.
Damn, girl, you looking good in the forest. I see you.
He's like, you can see me? I can't see where you
your
are.
Surroundings. I can just see you. Can you see mine?
And there's that whole like,
which I'm still not quite sure. Yeah, that whole touch.
Yeah.
Like, I think the thing that alluded to that initially was, remember when he wipes his face and he actually has something with the rain?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck? So that was pretty cool. Which kind of led me to speculate that, did Kylo know that Snoke had, that he bridged him? Because when he says it and he puts his head up, he doesn't actually look that surprised by his statement, right? I was because he was saying in the beginning, he's like, what is this? He's like, this isn't just the Force. He's like, this is something else. And I was like, what does he see? Was he expecting, right?
Yeah.
And then like the little banter between them, and she was like, he's like, I'd rather not do this right now. He's like, yeah, me neither. And then she's like, can you put something on the towel, perhaps? And he's like just standing there with his shirt off. You know, I'm assuming he must have probably like just got his pants on before they started talking or something. So, and he's like, yeah, bad time for me too. I mean, heck, Kylo could have been out in space dropping a deuce, you know what I mean? Like, oh, gotta pinch his off. Force pinch.
Like, hey, Rey.
Right? So that was kind of a funny but serious moment as well. And the whole like going into the hole, and then that whole crystal thing and the snaps, and I don't know, that was just it was kind of cool, but in my opinion, another thing of kind of a waste of time. I do like how Luke was trying to help her progress kind of in his own manner.
Yeah.
I also very much liked the ending where he does take all those blasts, right?
He's like, so you got son?
Now, obviously, we come to find out that it's his projection, right? I was super hyped because I was thinking, I was like, oh snaps, he's about to be like Force Unleashed, Unleashed style, right? And he's gonna go crazy with the Force, and then maybe he would die. Which is
like he used a little bit when he blows the HUD up, and I was like, he's just like, screw this HUD, what you doing?
He was like, stop, right?
Yeah, he like blows the whole HUD up, and I'm thinking when he shows up after the blast, like he's gonna walk up to one of the AT-ATs and be like, or just like Pick it up now.
Bend all your guns, crush you.
Or like,
crush
all you do is push it over. Like,
yeah, right.
It's not gonna get back up. Push it over.
Oh, that would have been kind of cool, right? Like a little domino effect. That would have been pretty cool. Yeah, so that would have been pretty awesome. I thought it was interesting. He even force projected those like dice, technically, from the Millennium Falcon that he grabbed, and those were there after he had already faded away, which was interesting. And then I kind of like the funny part where Rey's like, move some rocks.
And I was like,
right?
Before he was like, the Force is more than just moving rocks.
Yeah.
And then he's like, move some rocks.
Yeah, and then he also says like, he's like, what do you expect me to show up and beat the entire New Order with laser sword? And what does he do? He shows up at the end to fight the entire New Order with a laser sword.
Yeah.
Right? Technically speaking, he does exactly what he says he's not going to do, but he still does it. Technically, he doesn't since he force projects, but he still does kind of. So it is kind of interesting, and I don't know, maybe silly at the same time. So, like I said, overall, we both thought it was good.
Yeah.
Expectation wise, we wanted more.
I think the only thing was been missing, and that's the thing is like a lot of people were missing. They wanted more action. They wanted more of like the Rey, Luke, like a real Luke letting loose, you know.
Like a real final
farewell,
right?
Yeah, final fight or something like that, where he has like an epic death, as opposed to something solemn and quiet and just peaceful. And I think that's kind of what the whole thing is. People wanted more of just unleashed force.
People wanted more force action.
Yeah, they just wanted more action and more of like
more Jedi and Sith.
And I was like, but throughout Star Wars, they really didn't use the Force a lot. Like,
yeah, it's pretty much it's sprinkled throughout, right?
Yeah.
And I think
the most I've seen it like in a little fight was when Luke is knocked down and he goes and he catches himself with the Force.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
No one's done that in a movie. Like, no one's actually. They all just fall.
Yeah, the only other person we've ever seen increase his speed in fight
was Yoda.
Yeah. Right. So that was interesting because in a way that was kind of like a callback to something he learned from Yoda is to learn to use the Force as you're fighting.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up unless there was anything extra you wanted to add as far as spoilers to talk about.
I think we've covered most of it. I mean, we could be talking here for like another 2 hours on this.
Right.
It's
there's
so much.
There's a lot to say. If you guys do actually want another follow-up video where we talk about all the things that Star Wars could have done without and still been a great film, let us know in the comments down below. We will be more than happy to do that because there's a lot of stuff that I can mention on that, especially after seeing it 3 times. But for now, we're going to go ahead and say comment, like, and subscribe.
Subscribe it
to AI Reviews.
Share it.
Share it out.
To everybody.
And we'll probably see you in the next movie review. It's almost a guarantee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Until
may the Force be with you.
Exactly.
Always.
May the Force be with you. Always. Exactly. Peace.